Good evening, everyone. Here in the channel of NomadMania. I'm Gianni Bianchini. I'm a travel blogger and YouTuber. And today we are having an interview with Orest Zub. One second.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, you are here. Yeah, I have some echo in my earplugs.
Switch off
Yes,
the mute.
done. So we are here with Orest Zub, that is, hello Orest, and welcome. That is a Ukrainian online entrepreneur, a travel blogger, and now having this channel on YouTube where he's reporting every day from Lviv. And we will speak about the situation of the war now in Ukraine. But before that, we talk a little bit about what is NomadMania. NomadMania is a not-for-profit organization that cares that has used to separate all the in 1301 regions based on territory, population, diversity, economy and tourist appeal. So this website, it's free, and all travelers of the world can register, create their own profile. And now you are seeing the page of NomadMania and the profile of Orest Zub. As I was saying, is a registered not-for-profit organization aiming to create a community of avid travelers, educate about the world, and as well to help people with a few means to travel more. This is why NomadMania encourages donation. And in this situation of the war, NomadMania has some objective and targets for when the war will finish. They will provide 6 scholarships for students from different regions of Ukraine for the first trip abroad. And all their next scholarship will be issued exclusively to Ukrainian citizens. So when it becomes safe again, 5 consecutive annual NomadMania conferences will be held in different regions of Ukraine to promote regional development and popularize location among the international community. All donations that the website is receiving will be used to develop this scholarship program for friends from Ukraine. And now, thank you again, Orest. Let's talk about the situation there. Can you tell us a little bit where you are now? We know you are in Lviv, and how is the situation today?
Thank you, Gianni. Nice to hear from you. Thanks to NomadMania, especially the personal thanks to the founder of NomadMania, Harry Mitsidis, who permitted us to make this live in order to spread the word, and for all the huge support coming from his side. So I am now personally in Lviv. This is my native city. I was born and grew up here. And this is the largest city in Western Ukraine. In the meantime, when I will be showing you where Lviv is, I encourage our listeners who are watching us live to write in the comments, where are you now, guys? Just write the city, where are you located? So we have the contact, and we have this like feeling of nomadmania, right? That we are globally distributed all around. So as I told, I am situated in the west of the country, which is, let's put it like, if you see the map of Ukraine, there it is. It's in the Eastern Europe. Every NomadMania person, of course, is well aware of the geography. So I'm in the very, very, very west. Lvivska Oblast, Lviv is all the way here. It's like close, like 1 hour drive to Poland. And so that's the place I'm now. The city has not been bombarded yet, as opposed to many other areas around Ukraine. And even the event, even, you might heard that there was like attack on an area in Lviv province, like 2 days ago. There was a very, very large attack on the military facility in Western Ukraine. Just want to assure that it was not in Lviv. It was like 40 kilometers northwest of Lviv. I want just to be specific and show you exactly where is that, because many people think it happened in Lviv. Okay, it is this one. Yeah, so you see like Lviv, and this area, like 40 kilometers northwest of Lviv, this is where the military facility is located. So 30 missiles were launched. Only 8 of them actually got the target. And this place is only 20 kilometers from the Polish border. So it's very close to the border of NATO. It looks like this now. But as I told, I am in Lviv. Lviv remains like this. So shops are open, banks are operating, pharmacies are working, people are walking around. But although the city is preparing for possible worse scenario, and even some historical landmarks are being protected. You can see the statues being robbed and so on. So that's basically my very short check-in where I'm at the moment. Just for you to know, Lviv was not bombarded. Yeah, I keep receiving many requests, many messages, many informational news. They tell Lviv was attacked. It was not. Our airport is still operating, and this is one of the few remaining operational airport in the country. In the meantime, I see that our listeners are from many places, like Sydney, like Athens, like Bogota. Even from Moscow, we have something. Constantine, wow. Hope you're doing well there. Basel, Berlin, and many, many other places. It's a real honor, guys, to have you with us. Lutsk, city in Ukraine. So let's develop this conversation. Let's get to know more about Ukraine. You are free to write your questions. I think we'll make like a session only for answering questions. But in the meantime, Gianni, let's proceed.
Yeah. So today is 22nd day, I guess, of the war, more than 3 weeks. And last night there was a shelling of the theater in Mariupol, where we're supposed to be 1,000 people, and just now they are trying to save the people from the rebels. What do you know about that?
So I know pretty much everything what you know, because I receive the same informational signals as you, but I can tell you a little bit more. Just for everybody to keep track of the situation, I would recommend you to check out this map, liveuamap.com. So this is as accurate as it can be map that on a daily basis updates information, right? So here you can see the progression of the events. So the red areas are those which are under Russian control at the moment. Also, some points, they indicate the major events happening. So just after our call, just take your time, browse the map just to have the feeling. So why I know it's accurate? For example, we can go down to the city of Izum, like this city. It's in the eastern Ukraine. And I met a couple of days ago a person there. He just escaped from Izum. And he told me from his own eyes as the witness, and he explained that the Russian army was behind the river, shelling the downtown of the city. Because they couldn't cross the river, the bridges were blasted, and so on. Yes. Then I look on this map, and his words were pretty precise, together with the results that the map is showing. So there are some signals. It's possible to refer to this map to stay updated, right? And regarding Mariupol, this is the city in the east which is under siege for quite some time already. Well, it's a very bad situation, probably the worst situation in the entire country. Different rumors tell that up to 20,000 people can be already dead there. The normal population of the city is 500,000. I don't know how many people remained, maybe 300,000. But one of my good friends, Nadia, she is from Mariupol, and we are in touch with her every day, like very close friend. We travel together a lot and so on. So like she didn't have contact with her parents who stay in Mariupol for like over than a week. Only yesterday, when there was an organized like this green corridor from the city, they managed to escape the town yesterday. Before that, she didn't have contact with them for like a week, and that was like really hard to process, because we've been talking to her and she's crying, and she didn't know for 1 week are her parents alive or not. And this is the story of, I would not fear to tell, millions of people, right, at the moment in Ukraine, which is simply unimaginable in the 21st century that we are facing at the moment. So,
True. What was, let's do a step back when it all started 3 weeks ago. I'm curious to know what was the feeling of Ukrainian people where the Russians were amassing all the troops around the border. Of course, there were some people saying no, nothing will happen, diplomacy will win, and some people, they just were convinced that this invasion was going to happen. How do you remember those first days before the war started?
So it's important to tell that the war with Russia started in 2014. Just for people to remember that after the revolution 2014, Russia invaded and annexed Crimea. They started the war in Donbas in the east. So Ukraine is the country at war with Russia for already 8 years. It's true that the military conflict was limited to Donbas, to eastern Ukraine. I'm going to show you on the map. Everybody knows where is that. Yeah, so it's the very small slice of the east. Okay, let me quickly show it where the conflict was limited to. So it's basically, it was like this, right? So Crimea and the eastern part of the country was under occupation. So when before the war, 1 week before the war started, I was together with the NomadMania group of people in Karabakh. So we visited Karabakh. Our friend Mehraj, he's one of the most traveled NomadMania users. Mehraj, hello to you if you're here around. Organized a very insightful, very nice educational trip to Karabakh. Let me just also show you the Karabakh part. So this, I even made the post on my Instagram about Karabakh. Yeah, so that's like we were traveling there with a group of NomadMania, like over 20 people, looking through those different territories that were under war, like recently, only 2 years ago. And the scale of devastations we witnessed there was also hard to process. Like it's really like large. Oh, this is Mehraj actually. So the large areas we've seen there, like the Lachin corridor under Russian peacekeepers, like even the way how they are rebuilding everything, it was very eye-opening to see. So being there, when a lot of travelers around the world, when we visit such places, we do this to understand the world better. We do this to see something new. Many travelers think it's like cool to visit the depressing or like the conflict areas, but I'm sure that nobody experienced the war by visiting those. Nobody cannot understand the real feelings of people who had to live through those like terrible times. And even me personally, since I've been to many conflict zones, yes, I am from Ukraine. I visited Karabakh. I was impressed if it's proper way to sell here. I was astonished with the results of the war. I still didn't process it very, very deeply because I felt like I'm an outsider or I'm a guest. And it always feels like something there, something far. But when the war arrives to your home, this is the feeling that it's impossible to explain. This is scary. This is paralyzing. This is terrible. And it's impossible. Like not a single movie, not a single best produced movie can give you this feeling. The screen cannot give you this feeling of the war. Visiting the warring zone cannot give you this feeling. Like only when the war arrives at your home, when your like loved ones, when your like attached people to you has to flee because they're afraid to die, when you see that at one morning there is like a terrible attack on your country. Like this is, I'm showing you the map of the initial attack in the morning of February 24th, when Russian troops like organized 70 missile launches around the country. So just imagine the scale. 70 targets were made by the rocket launches from outside the country. And I just want to remind you that Ukraine is the largest European country. Like this is the twice the size of Italy. Where are you from, Gianni? So once you see this happening within a matter of hours, very naturally, as the living human being, you anticipate that one of the next missiles can target directly you. And you start having the feeling that you might die in the next hour. That's very bad feeling. I must say, it's a terrible feeling. And now when I process this time, it's all blurred. Like your body and your mind receives such a huge amount of adrenaline and shock and fear that it almost looks like a dream. And even now, when I talk, and we are already 3 weeks into war, it's still hard to imagine that we are living this, but this is the reality.
Yeah.
So the first actions, what are happening after this, is a massive panic. Like 44 million people are suddenly afraid for their life. So what do? They run to the supermarkets to buy food. They run to the ATMs to get cash. They line up at the petrol stations to fill up the petrol to the car. So panic everywhere, and then long lines everywhere. And by the end of the day and the following few days, very empty. Because once the people who manage, they cover their survival needs, they simply stay quiet at home, or they drive to their countryside houses, or they try to flee abroad. After this, terrible traffic starts on all the highways around the country. So it's a huge country, it's a very populated country, and suddenly at one moment, everybody needs to do something. Very, very bad situation. Since World War II, in Europe, nothing like this ever happened. Even the Balkan War, the Yugoslav wars were bad, but Ukraine is like 2.5 times bigger than the Yugoslav. So you can imagine the scale of this.
Yeah, just to remind that Orest is reporting every day, is publishing videos on his YouTube channel. You find him, Orest Zub. And talking about this, I remember some of your videos where you were in the shelter. That is basically under your house. Where were you taking cover? And now, how is the situation? How you live in the situation now? Because 3 weeks are a lot of time. So I guess you are living your life every day in different way, probably.
So let me try to show you. So yeah, like thanks for mentioning the channel. Yeah, that's basically I started to do from the day one. So when I got some cash, okay, I didn't manage to get the cash from the ATM, but I had some. When I got water and food, I simply went on the street and started filming. And it was the day one, so I understood that people need this information. And starting from this, I became to document everything. Yeah, how I am, managing the first survival needs in the city. How I'm driving my sister and my mother from her apartment to my apartment in the downtown. How we are spending time in the shelter. How we are visiting the art gallery that turns into the shelter. How my females from my family had to flee the country. How I had to take my grandmother to the nursing home. So I decided to make this as a documentary because I believe this will serve future generations, and I am able to document a really important historical part that we are all living through now, something that bold headlines of the large newspapers will never see, will never show. So like this is like the initial part of how we spend time in a shelter. And for the first week, we were sleeping with my wife in the corridor just to stay further from the windows. In terms there is explosion, so we'll be protected by one extra wall. After 1 week of sleeping here and rushing down to the bunker in the middle of the night, when there was an airstrike alarm, I just told, fuck it, sorry for the word, I'm not going to sleep like a rat in the corridor. I'm back to my bed. And you need to fix your psychological approach. And now it's definitely easier. It's definitely better as opposed to the first week, because you are able to process. And as I told, you are able to understand. Like eventually, after you realize that most likely you're not going to die in the next hour, you are back to become like a human and think about to take care of your shave, brush the teeth, eat more properly. Like I lost 6 kilograms in 2 weeks. You don't need the gym. Just So these situations. And once I was done with the main housekeeping stuff. Housekeeping means taking care of the basic survival needs: food, water, finances. Then the next one is making sure all your family members are safe, like bringing mother of my wife together with her cat to our apartment, so we live now together, to organize evacuation for the rest of the females of my family, my mother, my two of my sisters, and the nephew. And the final project was putting my grandmother into the nursing home, because she lives in the apartment close to the airport, like the apartment where I grew up. So definitely airport is the big target. So if something is happening in that part of the city, I don't want my grandmother to be stuck there. So we organized this. And once these things were covered, I started to think more properly, trying to reestablish connection with my team and change the activity, change the work cycle of my company towards the war needs. So which means resistance, which means participating in the media war, and which means conducting this kind of lives to all types of organizations around the world in order to speak, to tell as much as possible about the situation in Ukraine and tell the truth.
Yeah. And you are now, which member of the family are with you now in this moment?
So even though most of the females, my mother and two sisters, they decided to leave the country because it was too traumatic to run down the bunker and hearing to the alarms all the time. My wife decided to stay with me, and I'm very thankful for her. Then her mother moved from her apartment to our apartment, and there is my father still in the city.
Okay.
And the father of my wife, he lives in the village in mountains, so it's like safe place.
Because
Indeed.
also Lviv that has not been touched by shelling, but I know that a lot of people fleeing the country, they were stopping to Lviv before exiting the border. So it was still a big emergency there. People at the station. I saw photos of the crowd at the Lviv station. Yeah,
Like at the moment, Lviv is effectively functions as the capital of Ukraine. Uh,
yeah.
all the embassies moved here. Most of the headquarters of international media is here. The top management of the largest governmental companies moved here. And yeah, so it also serves as the main transport hub. So all the evacuation trains from the east, they end up in Lviv. Before before the refugees, they have decision what to do. They can continue onward to Poland, or they continue south to Hungary and Romania, or they can remain in Lviv, or just spread around the countryside. So what happens is that at the moment there are approximately 200,000 refugees. Just imagine the number. The normal population of Lviv is a little bit over 800,000 people. So we are over a million, with like a quarter population being refugees, which definitely affects the local infrastructure and local services. City feels very overpopulated, and there are terrible traffic jams all around the city. But I must say that we are still doing pretty well, because from the day one, our city council announced that no matter what, if we can continue operation, we will do this as efficiently as possible. So public transport was always operating, supermarkets, pharmacies, and banks were always open, and now the city is kind of back to life. So the restaurants are open. I had like a coffee today and the cheesecake in the restaurant. So yeah, that's how it is. It still feels surreal because one part of the country is like being in ruins,
Yeah.
and another part of the country is living like there is a festival with so many people. So it's strange. It's very, very strange,
Yeah.
but that's what we have.
Yeah, we have a question. Maybe we can read this question. Barnabas KDR. He's saying, "How do you feel about the moral dilemma of helping in the war, potentially killing people and get killed, vs fleeing the country and helping in some other way?"
I believe this is the decision, the personal decision for everybody. For you to understand, when we were in the like in Karabakh, in the NomadMania event, it was already pretty obvious that the war will start in the nearest time. Many people told me not to take the plane, but I deliberately took the plane to be in Ukraine if or when the war will start. Why did I do this? I remember clearly 2014, when there was a revolution in Ukraine and there were shootings on the streets. I was traveling in Mexico, and like I also remember very well how helpless I felt, how anxious I felt, watching the news happening in my country, scrolling through the social media with the posts of my friends, what they're experiencing. So this time it was my clear statement, a clear decision to be part of the movement happening in Ukraine. Yes, and I wanted to participate. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to contribute to our resistance and to our victory. Definitely, it was scary. It was scary, but when you see what actually happened, that the entire country united, that we provided the fierce resistance, and then now when the entire world support you, it's like, you know, your fear goes away, which is dangerous. You still have to process things, but it's, as I told you, you can I cannot explain the feeling of the war. I try my best, but if you are within this and your friends knowing that there is the enemy coming, and you know this is our home, like what do you do if somebody comes to your apartment? Like, would you flee or would you do everything to defend it? So this is something like this, but on a 44 million people scale. And the spirit is so high that you simply you cannot do like you cannot stay apart from this. Yes, everybody is busy. It's not boring. Volunteers. Many people take guns and go to the front line. People involved into the logistics. People come back to their businesses to collect some money to fund these or that initiatives. And this is simply it's unbelievable. The spirit is so high. I think that you reconsider life when you are part of this situation. So it's the personal decision of everybody what to do. In my opinion, if there are families with young children, it's definitely better to leave, because how could you explain a 2-year-old human being that they're like sirenes and you have to go down to the bunker and children cry, and like this is very traumatic. So women and children, a lot of them left, definitely. According to the martial law in Ukraine, men between the age of 18 and 60 cannot leave. There are different stages of mobilizations. So people some are taken to the army. But what I also want to tell is that there are so many people who voluntarily applied to the paramilitary units or civil defense units that now is impossible to apply. So people really want to go, and this is very big showcase. So even in the 21st century, when the value of human life is already so high, it feels like you would never do this. But when this happened, situation changed. Believe me, I'm so grateful from one standpoint to be here, and I feel so dedicated that I am doing this, that nobody would even take me from here now.
Yeah. The situation has been changing every day for these last 3 weeks, but the idea that I got from outside, and I guess all the world war, the whole world is having, is that Russians are really having a lot of difficulty to advance and to do the quick invasion that they were planning. And this has been also thanks to many factors, but of course for the courage and resistance of Ukrainian people. So how do you perceive the moral or the mood of the people now in Ukraine around you? I guess as a nation now you are feeling in a way more connected all together, really trying to fight this invasion back. How is the feeling that you perceive of the nation?
Oh, absolutely. So the initial plan was obvious. You create a massive attack all around the country. That I show you the map. This seeds panic all around. Then you invade by land, and very quickly, in the matter of few days, you take Kyiv under control. The government surrenders, and within 1 week, you install a new puppet government. Which is the satellite of Russia. That was the initial plan. However, within the first few days, the entire world was felt sorry for Ukraine, and it was obvious for many people, if there is such a uneven situation between Russian military forces and Ukrainian, that in 1 week Ukraine will fall, there will be a new government, and that's it. But when Ukrainians united and we started fiercely to resist, the world seen oh look, this boy, this underdog is fighting. Let's help him a little bit. Let's help. And the more resistance was shown, the more support was happening. So eventually, everybody sees that things didn't go according to the Russian plans. Their economy is sinking back to the medieval times. They actually didn't occupy, they took only one major city under control, Kherson, in the south. The rest cities are not taken even like 3 weeks in war. At some directions, they are pushed back. So the morale of Ukrainians is like sky high, is very high. Everybody is dedicated to the victory, and everybody believes in this a lot. Obviously, the support of the global community helps. Obviously, the like sanctioning Russia helps. So there are like what we are witnessing now is the unprecedented historical fact that first time in life of the humanity, we see the situation when it's clearly black and white, when the entire civilized world is supporting one country, and when the entire civilized world is accusing another country. And there will be many books written about the war in Ukraine. It is also one of those wars where not only bullets and tanks are involved. Yeah, there are parallel armies and fights. There is cyber army, you know, like Ukrainians are very tech savvy. They attack on the cyber level, financial institutions, the governmental websites. There is a media army where I actively take place. So we create the image of Ukraine. You know, we engage organizations around the world. We you know, put like the TikTok stories or these like smaller parts, but which also add up to the entire picture. And that's why there is such a big success of Ukraine in this war, and that's why there is such a big support what is happening. Otherwise, if Ukrainians don't fight themselves in the first days of the war, everybody would forget about this already and would focus back on COVID or something else. But we have to continue until we win.
Talking about this, telling the story with the technology, the media, the socials, you were showing us before this website that I didn't know about it. Thanks for sharing. Do you have other source of information where we can read what's going on apart from the official online newspaper? But if you have like, I'm following personally a couple of channels in Telegram and in Viber. Do you have other places to suggest us where we can get informed?
Many people don't realize how big is the scale of the entire situation. We are talking like at the moment, 9 billion people who live on this planet watch closely to the situation in Ukraine. So the flow of information is overwhelming. It's impossible to process. And don't try to process it. You will just feel bad if you try to keep up with everything, you know? I would recommend to focus on something that matters really to you, on your own activity, how you can contribute, or your own friend in this part of the city, or your own organization that you like. Follow my channels, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Orest Zub, you know. And even like in the very beginning, I was like experimenting, you know, what could be the best way to inform my international network. So I was trying to make these lives and getting calls from people all around the country. But then like after like a week, I simply understood that I cannot, like our team cannot keep up with everything what is happening. So I rolled back and started to focus on my own contribution and to show not what other people are telling, but to show what I see. And this is like, I just felt much more fulfilled in this, and I can confirm the stories I share. Yeah. So try to go deep in something really resonates to you, but also maybe once a day, like scan in general events what are happening around. That would be like the way to keep up.
Yeah. Thank you for the suggestion. So let's answer to some of the question. There is this question of every Mercedes. Do you believe that this is a turning point for Ukrainian identity?
I think that this war will eventually resolve the Ukrainian question. I think, Harry, also, you are the one who made this phrase, at least as far as I remember this from you. Many people speak about this, and it's possible to reconsider this and believe into this. Because what we are witnessing now is the fight of a group of people on this planet for their own identification and freedom. Yeah, if you look historically on Europe in general, you will see that the formation of nationalities of countries is kind of drifting from west to east. We have France, we have United Kingdom, we have Spain, which were established in the beginning of the second millennium. Like Spain as the country was established after Reconquista, right? French was a little bit before. Brits are also were formed in the 12th, 11th century when all these Anglo-Saxons connected together. Then so pretty much Western Europe was already done by the French Revolution. Then in the 19th century, you see that Holy Roman Empire collapsed, and Italy, your homeland, and Germany eventually became unified, right? Then you have the World War I, major empires collapse, and you have the bunch of Eastern European countries establishing independence, like Poland, Czechoslovakia, meaning Czech Republic and Slovakia later, Romania, Hungary, many Balkan states, and so on. So, and since it's moving east, this is eventually the time, 100 years later, that Ukraine will shape its constant borders. We'll see, our idea is to restore the borders of Ukraine from back to 1991. We don't need anything else. Those are the historical heritage that we received. Yes, but this is I project this as the historical way of one nation to prove its right for the existence. And history already proves many times that revolution is not possible without the blood. History proves that freedom is not free. If you look at the modern history of Ukraine, we had very peaceful independence in 1991. Then there were some tensions, but still there was a revolution in 2004 when the pro-democratic movements won the revolution and the re-elections happened. Then we have the Euromaidan revolution in 2014 when people again proved their will to drift, to move towards European integration. There were some over 200 casualties already, which was already pretty bloody from our perspective, because Ukrainians are very peaceful people. We never initiated the war, and even now we think even 200, yeah, but 200 deaths in 2 days was out of mind for us. And now when we have this kind of scale with thousands of people, I think this will eventually put a very bold mark and will resolve the Ukrainian question, with the outcome Ukrainian as the independent state integrating into the European family. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with you on this point, in all points so far. Let's read Constantine York. Yeah, please tell the story of the people who experienced Russian occupation in towns around Kiev.
So Constantine is my good friend, and Constantine is originally, he has a house and he lives in the suburb of Kiev. I just want to show you on the map. These are the western suburbs of the city that are heavily damaged, guys, since pretty much first days of the war, when the idea was to enter from Belarus, going south, occupying Chernobyl. Then you remember there was fights for Hostomel airport over here. You also remember that the largest plane in the world have been destroyed there. Mria, the dream. They can destroy. Now we have the mem, like you can destroy the plain dream, but you never destroyed the Ukrainian dream. And those northwestern suburbs of Kiev are one of the most badly affected areas in the entire country. For weeks now, there are fights happening there. I'm talking about such cities as Irpin, Bucha, Hostomel, Vorzel, and Nemishayevo. Like this town is the home of Constantine. So probably like maybe up to 200,000 people live in this like entire section. Like this is the effectively part of the metropolitan area of Kiev, and this is the base for the for the plans to invade Kiev, because also this like huge 40-mile convoy was going along this road to the south. So there are some heavy fights, and a couple of my friends stayed there during the shellings. So it's terrible, you know, like we are talking about the prosperous suburb of a modern metropolis, and people had to live in the shell, like in the bunkers. Like a good friend of mine, he for like over 10 days, he was staying all the time in the underground, going every day just 15 minutes to take a shower in his apartment and going back. Like there are a few rivers, bridges around rivers were destroyed, so people could not leave. Like it's very bad. Like this area is almost flattened. Like if you look at the pictures, Irpin, let me try to find it. Irpin, Irpin War. Yeah, that's it. That's like it's. I am afraid. Like it's, since I'm staying in Lviv, it's still it's hard to process. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at
I read about Irpin. Yeah.
Look at this bridge. So oh my God, look at this. Those are like, until 3 weeks ago, those were like nice neighborhoods between the pine trees, you know. And similar is happening to the entire area. So even like it was like one of the first affected places. So this is like on the map, you can see the highway going west from Kiev to the rest of Ukraine, to Lviv, which is like the main highway. You go from Kiev to the west. So that part of the road was also under control of the Russian forces pretty in the early stage of the war. So it was really hard to get out of the city, and most of the traffic now has to go south and then west. So yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah. All right, let's move with the next question. Maybe it's not a question. Laura Carolina and the Ego virtual tour guides are helping convey the story to, maybe you know this person.
No, I cannot tell.
Okay, so yeah, this is also very important about the no-fly zone. How do you feel about that? There is Barnabas that is asking about this, and he said, I would really want to help to Ukraine, but I'm afraid that would be the start of a nuclear war.
There is something that many Europeans still don't understand. Why this war in Ukraine is like so much louder than the Syrian war, which is also pretty bad, because Syria is somewhere further in the Middle East, the area where always was a problem. Ukraine is pretty much also, you know, like problematic country. There is some in the Donbass happening, but now we have a full escalation with the casualties, with shellings of the European country. And the attention to this matter among Europeans is definitely bigger. But for many people, it still feels like it's behind the door. So let me tell you this. Ukraine now effectively acts as the shield of Europe. You have to understand and remember that every Russian person in their gene has Berlin under occupation. Like that's the mindset, the historical mindset that was brainwashed for many, many years. If Ukraine falls, Russian tanks will be knocking the door of your house. So this is in the interest of Europe to help Ukraine as much as possible, to keep the war away. We will do our job on the fields, but we are very vulnerable from the attack from the sky. If somebody thinks that this will involve, it will start the World War III, let me tell you this, World War III has already started.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the conclusion here, what I must say, in Ukraine, we have the following proverb. If you let the pig come inside your house, it will end up on your table. This is exactly a situation like this. And this is imperative to close this door as soon as possible, because the nature of the aggressor of Russian Federation is that they will push as far as you will permit them to push. And the only language they understand is brutal power. Like it's already evident for everybody. It's not possible to negotiate, not possible to believe in anything. There have been so many evidence. So only in this situation, unfortunately, only the brutal power will change the situation. And this is in the interest of the entire world to stop this evil from growing as soon as possible. I can tell that this is already too late. There are many things to doing, but the best way to finish this is now. And we need the most aggressive response possible. Like, how long do you want to wait? Like, it's always going up. Yes. The history already showed that you have to stop the evil at the earliest possible stage, because this is its nature to grow.
Yeah, and well, from my side, I agree with you on a no-flight zone and or at least supporting Ukraine with the planes, and you can use them yourself to defend your country. But this is not even happening. So this is a very problematic situation. Anyway, let's go on with the questions from Magnosa about the other levels of war. Maybe I missed this part. Yeah, we were talking about media and cyber internet. Does the informational operation have a strong impact on the everyday life? A Ukrainian exchange student told me that.
Absolutely. Information plays a vital part in this war in general. In order to keep the morale high, there are official news, there are live streams from policymakers of Ukraine. Like some people who are in charge of military activities, every evening they explain people what is happening. They're calming them down. They tell that militaries, you don't have to teach military what to do. There are like the entire culture in the social media developed with Russian farmers stealing tanks from the fields. So many songs were written already within these 3 weeks. It's unimaginable, and this definitely helps the spirit to grow. I bet you that in your country, wherever you are, many songs were produced during the toughest moments, during the darkest hours. So that's now what we're experiencing in Ukraine as well.
Yeah. And same person is asking, Russians had trouble influencing Ukrainian speaking channels because they can't properly speak it. Do you think the so-called Ukrainianization is helping protecting you from trolls?
I didn't really understand the question. Like, do you mean that Russian-speaking Ukrainians don't understand Ukrainian language, or what? If that's the question, I can assure you it is not. Even though historically there were like a few discussions around Ukrainian language, Russian language in Ukraine, but now what we are seeing is that it absolutely doesn't matter which language you talk. Even like before, it was very, very normal in the everyday or in business situations when I, from the West, as a native Ukrainian speaker, was normally maintaining conversation with a Russian speaker Ukrainian, and everybody is sticking to their own language. That was like absolutely normal. What is like surreal here is that Russia is invading Ukraine to liberate Russians in Ukraine from the Nazi government. And our president is Jewish. And in order to liberate Russians from Ukraine, they ruin Russian-speaking cities. Like, can you understand how sad is that?
Yeah, they are bombarding their own people, basically.
From their point of view.
Yeah.
So
all right.
now if I just want to continue, so even if you ask me like situation now, Russian speaking Ukrainians are much more nationalist than we are in the West. And
True.
Many of my friends, they voluntarily switch to speak Ukrainian language because they realize that, you know, the brother is not like a brother, it's like the enemy who wants to kill everything alive.
Of course. Regarding to this, there was this, if you see this question of Bubo, is there a possibility that the Crimea will return to Ukraine?
So very good question. Yes, according to international laws, Ukraine has to get the reintegration of all of these territories. This is the ultimate goal of Ukrainians in this war. We see that the time is playing on our side, that the entire world is on our side. And when we will, the balance of power will change and is already drifting towards other side, the conclusion should be restoring the integrity of Ukraine, including Donbas and including Crimea. I am not sure how it will go, but this should be the case. Like the truth, the justice has to be restored, and the person who violated the order has to be absolutely punished.
All right. Okay, so we are almost at the end. If the people watching us wants to do some other question, now is the moment. There is something from Lord Dima, and for you, Orest, some of you might know Nate at Yomadic. He's staying in Kiev and trying to help as he can. I asked him to reach out to Orest to help with the on-the-ground reporting. Okay, thank you, Lord Dima. How people can help, Orest, people outside Ukraine?
How you can help, guys? So first of all, the fact that you are here is a great help. I really appreciate this. This is very unique opportunity to speak with the people who know things, who travel, you know, like NomadMania is extraordinary project. So I created like a small final list, and I think this is something for you to refer to. Let me just do this. So here are the things to help. First of all, I'm grateful to NomadMania and to Harry personally. You know, there is charity of NomadMania. If all your donations that you donate to NomadMania will go towards the charity fund, which will in return help young Ukrainians travel abroad. Like there have been already the first year of this charity program. So this is like, I would start here for the NomadMania members. If you believe in what I'm doing, if you want to support me and my team personally, there is a link, openmind.com/support. This is the donation program I initiated by myself because my consulting business went down when the war started. And also I managed to keep up with my team and reorganize everything to document, to produce content, and to engage the international network. So this is like what I'm doing. Also, I'm supporting some paramilitary units in Ukraine who are on the front line directly. And if like there are other things that really resonate to you personally, there is also a very helpful link with how to help Ukraine now.super site. You are welcome to go there, and there you will see a bunch of different options how you can donate, yes, or like what else you can do, not only donating, what else you can do, yeah, like what option works well for you. So just take your time, browse it, and do something, right? Do something to participate in this, because guys, as I told, we are fighting not only for ourselves, but we are fighting for the entire civilized world. And for the end, I would highly encourage you to follow me on the Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube first, Orest Zub everywhere. I am updating on a daily basis everything what is happening in Ukraine. You can see the pictures, I explain, I give the stories, I do the documentary on YouTube that I started in English language. So that's like will keep you updated about the event, and you will follow everything closely.
Yeah. Okay, we are almost at the end. I wanna,
the link you can follow below the video, all the links for you easy
yeah.
to
In the description, there are all the links. So there is a question really important from Ari that is asking, what do you think? Do you think relationship between Ukraine and Russia will ever be restored at this point? Well, not at this point, in the future.
You know,
it's a hard question.
We know that the time cures pain. This is the matter. Like at this point, the situation got so bad and so much, disruptions and hate became between the two countries. It's different on the human level, but I mean, you cannot process, like it's very bad, and we all understand this. Yes, we at the same point historically we know what was happening on the Balkans. We know the rivalry of France and Germany through centuries. So as the history shows, it's definitely possible to restore relations and improve them. And I really hope they will be restored. In the end of the life, like we are living on this planet all together. Yeah, definitely it will take time. Definitely not with the current government, and definitely there will be long journey to improve things. So I'm optimistic about this.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too, and we as a traveler, I think we are all optimistic because traveling around the world probably has made us know more people, more culture, and we have seen that at the end, loves always prevail. It might be something really obvious, but I truly believe that humans have a capacity through love to heal the mistake that we do in our lives. Anyway, so before closing, and we are really at the end, I don't want to miss this part from Bubo that is very interesting. He said that he has 2 hotels in Bratislava with capacity of 250 beds. Maybe we should take a note of this, and maybe we should create, I don't know, a page or something where we can write this availability of places for people that are outside Ukraine in this moment.
Sure. Bubo, please write me directly. I have provided information how you can contact me. Give me the details. At the moment, we reach the point with our team that we are getting more and more organized every day. I am starting to get more audience from the global scale, and I have a large audience in Ukraine because I'm an established blogger here in Ukraine with the audience of over 100,000 people. So our next step is like making everything more systematic, because we are in the middle of all of this mess. I'm definitely going to produce some kind of guides for people what to do, where, and so on. And I will be happy to include your contribution, your hotel in this guide. So please write to me, provide me more details about this, and I'm super grateful. Same message to everybody who is watching this video. If you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions, don't feel shy, write to me. I work crazy hours, I don't sleep enough, but I'm doing everything in my power to contribute to Ukrainian resistance and to like finish this war as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Okay, so I want to say thank you to Harry and all the team of NomadMania for the possibility to interview Orest and to do this live. I want to say thank you to you, Orest, and all the people that have been here. And just an idea. Not only subscribe to the channel of Orest that is reporting from Lviv every day, but maybe share also his videos. Share with your friends in your social, Instagram, Facebook, and show what he is doing. And thanks everybody for your help. Thank you, Orest. It was really a pleasure. Keep being strong, keep doing what you're doing, and we are all here supporting as much as we can, everybody with their means to this situation. So stay strong, Orest.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Me, Harry, and the entire NomadMania team is inviting everybody for the next NomadMania event in Ukraine when the war is over. See you here soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Orest. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.